Musical Talk, the UK's independent musical theatre podcast. Hello and welcome to another edition of Musical Talk. I'm Thos Ribbits. And though I try to have my life guided in every possible way by the world of musical theatre, I find that my boots are somewhat more puss-in than they are kinky. Well, thank you for coming back to Musical Talk. Today I'm going to be handing over the microphone in just a second to our old friend David Herzog. David, you may well remember, had a show up at this year's Edinburgh Festival Fringe, Chwedl, Fairytales from Wales, and a very popular and successful show it proved too. But of course he wasn't just dealing with that show when he was in Edinburgh, he was also seeing other shows. And, like any good Musical Talk presenter, when he saw a show he liked, he went with a microphone in hand to interview some of the people behind it. And that's what we're going to hear today. Later in the episode, he'll be telling you how his show Chwedl, Fairytales from Wales, did when it was actually at the Edinburgh Festival Fringe being performed. And it's interesting to hear closure on a show that we've been following here on Musical Talk since the beginning of the year, during its development process. But before that, we'll be hearing about a show that's been doing tremendously well. Bark! The musical. Or How the Little Dog Found His Voice. It's a show that's been garnering awards. It got the Critics' Choice on the LA Times and the Chicago Tribune, and it was nominated for Best Musical Score and Best Choreography as part of the Los Angeles Critics Drama Circle Awards. The show's by David Troy Francis, Mark Winkler, Gavin Jeffrey Dillard and Robert Schrock, and is still being performed, currently in America. And not only that, and I think this is the most wonderful thing of all, it's been endorsed by Jerry Herman. And I quote, "I love these marvellous melodic mutts." Well, that's enough from me, I think. Let's hear now David Herzog as he talks to a number of people involved in Bark, the musical, and then Chwedl, Fairytales from Wales. Here's David. Musical Talk.
Hello friends, great to see and/or hear all of you again, and thanks again as always to Thos. It's been great sharing with you all my journey to Edinburgh, and it was a fantastic and lovely journey indeed. Chwedl exceeded expectations. We had great houses and great feedback, and in addition to taking a lovely show up ourselves, the cast and I also had the chance to catch some other musical theatre pieces in Edinburgh as well. You are going to hear some of the interviews that I conducted with some of the cast members of the shows that I had the chance to see. First up, we have a show that had a lot of publicity and some excellent reviews prior to our arrival in Edinburgh in August. And that show was Bark, the musical, or How the Little Dog Found His Voice. One of the performers in the show was my old friend Laura Hyde, who I shared the stage with in the lovely musical Fame. She did an excellent job in the piece, and her Long Island, New York accent was impeccable. Well done, Bubala. So proud. Here is a chat I had with Laura and two other cast members from Bark, the musical, who will introduce themselves forthwith.
Musical Talk, the UK's independent musical theatre podcast.
Hello, I'm Emily and I play Chanel.
I'm Laura and I play Golda.
Brian James Leith and I play King.
Hello friends, we are here at City Venues. We are talking to some assembled members of the cast of Bark, the musical. Have I got the title right?
Bark,
Yes.
the musical, that's the
Oh,
one.
thank goodness. But there's also a lovely little tagline for it, which is...
How the Little Dog Found His Voice.
Oh, lovely.
It
It warms the cockles of one's heart. It's lovely. So, very entertaining piece. We had a great time the other night, so thank you so much for a wonderful, lovely show.
Thank you.
Can somebody please start by telling us what the piece is about? Who would like to take that one?
Well, I'll start off.
Yes, please.
At the beginning of the show, we meet some wacky assembled friends, dogs in a park.
Yes, of course.
Yeah, dogs in a park. They all come running in, very excited, and we soon meet the protagonist of the piece. And he's called Rachmaninoff. He's a puppy, Rachmaninoff. He's a Jacker Shitapoo.
Yes.
Which is half Jack Russell,
That's good, we
half
can put that in, I
Shih
think.
Tzu.
Yeah. I don't have to
You
bleep that
can
out.
because it means Shih Tzu, not the other thing.
Yes.
Yeah, half Shih Tzu and half Poodle, which is 150% dog, and that is a
whole lot of
fact.
dog.
And
A whole lot of
so yeah,
dog.
it follows his journey basically. How he wants to learn to bark, but he can't bark yet. So
Yes.
all his new friends try to teach him, and that's basically the story.
And we call him Rocks, except for
for sure.
Emily's character, who is rather posh, so she insists that she call him by his full
You know,
name.
we butcher this beautiful name, and so my character insists on calling him by the name of, that his own meant him to be called. Rachmaninoff.
So we know about the main character of the piece, we sort of know the journey that he goes on now. So tell us about some of your lovely characters. And you've already mentioned a little bit about your character and what she's about.
Yes,
so tell us more.
my character's name is Chanel Adele Michelle Obama Beyonce Deneuve Miss Van G Windsor Kardashian,
Goodness me.
and she is a grand champion Afghan hound. She has a lot of hair. She's very, very hairy, very fabulous, and she's owned by two lovely owners called Steve and Steve. And she adores them. She adores Stephen. He sings opera with her on a Sunday. Oh no, it's a Saturday. Oops, sorry, David. Yes, so they have a lovely tradition every Saturday morning. They wake up and they sing opera together. That's basically her character. She's just an opera singing, fabulous
So the
Afghan.
very lovely, well-polished dog, as I remember as well.
She's very well polished. She's a bit of a neat freak. Yeah, she's very aloof.
She comes across lovingly so, I think, though.
Yes, absolutely.
I think she's mostly a redeeming, lovely character.
I do try. Thank you, David.
Thanks to
You
your
try.
acting, it comes across. It does.
Lovely, now let's hear about your character. Laura.
Yeah, so I play Golda,
Yes,
a
of course.
Jewish pug. So yes, I have Jewish owners.
With an impeccable accent, I must say.
Yeah, Jewish pug.
Does anybody else do American accents, or is it just Golda?
I think it's just me actually,
just you, wasn't it?
because of the musical. I mean, it was it's originally done in America, so it's
Exactly,
written
yeah,
by Americans,
yeah, yeah.
and I think when it was done there, they all had American accents. But when
Right,
we
right.
came over here to sort of to do it, the description obviously my character is like a Jewish pug, and I think they wanted to keep the New York Jewish accent with that one, but with everyone else, with the director as well, Fran, she just would like to keep the regional accent, so that's why we have.
Well, sure, and it suited your character very well.
Yeah. So I quite like
So
the
why
fact that
necessarily change it on
I
YouTube?
showcase my accent skills.
Of course,
as well.
yes,
I don't really
yes,
want to be
yes,
a
very
Brummie
nice.
pug.
That better be on the CV. You definitely do Long Island Jewish, and it's lovely, Bubba.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
lovely
Barbara.
because exactly, Barbara Streisand. You have a massive, wonderful ballad that's very Barbara.
It's very Barbara. I never really thought of it that way, but it is.
It is.
Stunning.
So tell us more about Golda and her owners and
Golda,
her
yes, so
life.
Golda belongs to Ben and Esther.
right.
She goes on about them being sort of like fat and lazy and and eat a lot, but she's the same, she's not lazy. She's an older lady. I've got my knee problems, so like I'm the one when I have my solo in the show, sort of gives Rox the sort of like kid, just she's a little bit like, because when I have my first monologue, which is called Hey You, and that's where I sort of interact with the audience and I sort of have a go at everyone. I'm like looking for my next victim because I'm a little bit grumpy and I'm a little bit angry, especially when they leave me alone all day. But I warm a little bit to Rox in the end, and I actually, I tell him, you'll get there, you'll bark in the end, won't you?
A lovely mentor character, I would say.
Yes,
isn't she?
that
Yes.
kind of,
Yes.
Wise.
A wise old.
But not as wise as King.
Not as wise
And
as
let's talk
King.
about King. Tell us about King.
King is definitely older, right? He's so
Yeah.
much older.
Yeah.
And he's, he's very wise. Very old. He's a geriatric.
Never heard of
Gets
him
older
talk
and
about
older every day.
Oh, bless him.
Sorry.
He's a well put together
Brian
dog.
isn't.
And he's smart and he's he's that dog.
He's
and
classy.
he's very classy.
very
yes,
classy.
yes.
Which rhymes with one of his songs as well.
Which definitely rhymes with one of his
Yeah.
songs. Yes, because he's in love with the word that sounds like classy. And he's owned by Billy. There's no real script there for how King was raised as a pup, but I think Billy got King as a pup, and then Billy went off to college and left the pup at home with the parents, and he was looked after very nicely by the parents. And then Billy comes back one day and promises King that he's going to have his own place one day, and they're going to live back together. So King's waiting for Billy to return and pick up life where he left it off. But unfortunately, it never happened. You know, Billy got a girlfriend, and he moved out, and well, his life became his own really, and King just left at home.
Brian, you're breaking my heart.
It is a very heart-wrenching number.
It is a heart-wrenching
A
number.
little bit Woody in Toy Story.
But
I was just thinking the same thing, to
It
be
really
fair.
is.
The way you were describing it. Yeah.
Because in terms of, like we were saying about, like, what some of the characters not having the larger plot at the moment, because I don't know, you mentioned, but to point out this particular production of Barks, the first time it's been done in Europe,
Right.
But it is because of at the Fringe, it's only like a sort of showcase version of it.
Okay.
Because in America it is a full-length musical, 2 acts with an interval, so
Right,
they
right.
had to
Yeah, a lot of things got
condense it down. So a lot of stuff happens.
Right. Well, that's interesting to me. So how would you sort of describe the structure of the piece, as it were? It sometimes comes across as a bit of a review with these sort of individual numbers, individual speeches, but it obviously does have a proper narrative and a proper through line as well. You've already sort of spoken about the synopsis of it already. Laura, would you be able to sort of talk a little bit more
I
about
think
that?
I'm guessing that, again, like I said, because it's a showcase piece for the musical, they kind of skimmed it down to get it into a more concise
Yeah,
hour
of
and
course,
15,
as you
straight
do.
through no interval. Because we've come on board for it for the Edinburgh production the first time in the UK, and we didn't have any involvement in it beforehand, just for what we've seen, like research and clips on YouTube. But being a full full-length musical, I think it's gone through lots of involvement, because I think it was 2006 it started.
I
the
believe
first
so.
show.
Oh, wait,
Been going that long. And I think they
LA,
started
right?
off. Yeah, maybe
In LA,
earlier,
I
maybe
think.
before.
So I know that's where David
Yeah.
City's based.
Yes.
Yeah.
Or
I
was
think-
based for a
yeah.
while.
Yes.
And I think they've gone through, like, I think initially, I'm sure maybe they didn't even have a book to begin with. I think they sort of possibly started it out as a review,
Okay,
then
that would
made it
make
more
sense, yeah.
scripty. So I think that's why when it's cut down again, it can feel like, because obviously the songs are all very epic, they're beautifully written. So I think when they do it again, because in America it's licensed, so any, Amdram schools, theatres, they can buy the rights for it, so it's licensed over there, and obviously they do with it what they will.
Yeah.
So I think if they were to do it again in this country, they'd go for develop it again.
Yeah,
so you
sure.
have more of the story again and more.
Yes. Yeah.
Big spot on there, Lord.
And do we know for sure whether it has a life beyond this production or not? Do we know whether it's
in Mexico? I think David is taking it over to Mexico. At one point, they're doing a
it's
production
on at a theatre
there.
at the moment as well, or is it? They're starting
I
rehearsals
see.
again because it's licensed, but I don't know. Yeah,
Yes.
it's,
No, I'm not too sure. I think that is the hope for it. But I can't really say.
But no plans at the
personally.
moment to do it in Britain further, unless to potentially develop it more
Yeah,
and stretch it back to its
yeah.
2-hour full
Yeah, I think they're just testing the water
Yeah,
at
they
the
are,
Fringe
yeah.
here,
actually.
and it's gone down so well. We've had,
Yeah.
great reviews,
Lovely
great
reviews,
reviews.
yeah.
And what's the audience reaction been like for you guys?
I personally, as an actor, when I'm doing some, comedy, the sound of laughter makes me perform tenfold. It really does. And every night I'm here, and I'm hearing all that. It's just, they're hysterical.
Yeah.
They are. And
especially think people that when we have audience members in that are dog owners,
Yes.
they're the
Yeah.
ones that have really
Yes, they could relate to.
They relate to
Oh my
it.
gosh,
So we've had a lot of dog owners that have absolutely loved it.
Sure, well, tell us more about that as well, because the sort of dog-friendly shows, is this the first year they've sort of been doing that at the Fringe, or has that been going on the last couple of years? Did anybody know? You would be the experts on this in terms of the material.
In the Edinburgh Fringe's history, apparently we had the first officially dog-friendly show where people,
Right.
no matter if it's a service dog or not, you can bring your pet, your companion
It's the
to
first
the
time I've done
show.
it, for sure.
Yeah.
And it was chaos. It was wonderful when they were there.
It was something.
It was chaos, do tell.
It was
Chaos.
fabulous.
Just a nice
Oh, don't worry. They were
Yeah. Choreographer.
it was just lovely hearing all the barking,
During the show.
I mean,
Yeah.
today there was
Yeah.
a lovely little dog in the
cute,
front
cool
row.
Boo,
Yeah.
cool Boo.
He was-
And they were giving
yeah.
some unexpected cues, to the MD who's waiting for us to bark or howl, but the dogs were doing that, and it took us to different parts of the show, and it was interesting.
Are you sort of
It's lovely.
are you sort of inspired or required to do improv whenever that happens when the dogs are in?
I certainly do. I take any
Yes.
excuse I can. To
You're
be
the
honest.
best. You're the best at improv. I love it.
Stop.
Yeah.
I'm shy. Stop it. Stop it. No, but yes, it's real fun to talk with the dogs. I mean, you can just do anything with them. You can just go, oh yes, I know, and I'm a dog whisperer. It's fine.
Right? Dog whisperer.
Yeah, I mean, who doesn't like dogs? To be honest, I mean, some
You
people
don't, there's
don't.
something wrong with you.
But true.
No, that's right.
Oh my god.
So talk a little bit more, if anybody knows. Unfortunately, we're missing David today, the composer.
Yes.
He's gone home ill.
Yes, right.
There's a cold going around at the moment. Somebody in our cast has got it as well. But can anybody speak on how this piece initially came about? Do we know why it was written, how it was written, and then how it made its way over here from LA, of all places?
Well, I could speak on behalf of David and Mike, because they are the biggest dog lovers on the planet.
Yeah.
They've
It
left,
shows.
yes, and they've left their dogs back home in Mexico, and they're just they're adorable. We talk about their dogs. Yes, right. We talk about their dogs all the time. They're FaceTiming with their dogs. They're they're literally. So I think. We might have had this conversation over a few whiskies, but it escapes me. But I think it came from that. They're just genuine.
It's like a passion project, isn't it?
Yeah,
for
a
them?
passion project. That's exactly what I was going. Yeah.
Because David's experiences come from classical. He's a classical pianist.
He's a classical pianist.
Classical
Fantastic
contemporary classical composer, and Mike's the music editor for film. So they've done a lot of soundtracks for Hollywood films, that kind of thing.
Some of the best.
Such as, do you know any offhand?
He played did the arrangements and played the piano on The Pursuit of Happiness.
Yes.
Oh, very good.
They've done The Princess Diaries,
Yes.
as an editor, George of the Jungle.
George of the Jungle.
Wow, that's going back. Let's go back to my job.
And they took some liberties. They've told me a story that they trained with, is it Brendan Fraser?
Fraser,
They played George, and during his training periods, they took advantage and trained with them.
Got real
with the dogs.
beefy. Yeah. I believe this is the first foray into sort of writing a musical.
Okay.
The wonderful thing about David, though, is he's written an aria in this show, but he's also written, a beautiful choral piece, but he's written kind of a honky-tonky,
Lots of different genres.
He's
Varied.
written
It's something for everyone.
classic musical theatre ballads, like a Streisand-esque ballad.
There's hip-hop there.
There's
He's
a
got rap
rap.
as well.
He's
an
just really,
excitable
he can access any style of song, really. I think that's...
He's very gifted. Very gifted.
Yeah, it's amazing, really.
No, it is lovely. But I mean, beyond knowing that he did productions in LA and anything like that, do you know anything else about the development of the piece and what possessed him to bring it over to Britain in particular, and to the Fringe? I know that the Fringe is a great sort of spring-loading place to do a show.
I'm not sure how they completely got in touch, but I know, so our director, Fran, she brought a musical, again from America, the Fringe 2 years ago. It was called Anna, Eve and Steve.
Yes.
They did that here in Steve Edwards as well. And the writer of that was a guy called Chandler, I can't remember his surname, so American composer.
Yeah.
And I think they met through him, and also probably through Barbara Freitag, who's one of the American producers.
Okay.
And I think he sort of introduced them through it. It was like, we did this piece in Edinburgh last year, so if you wanted to bring it to America, then they hooked up with Fran that way. So I believe that's kind of how it evolved.
Yeah, I think as well, Fran was quite eager, and originally Francesca, because me and Francesca go back a few years. We went
She's
to
Lipa as well, isn't she?
Yeah, she's an actor, she's a director. So she was in my year and directed me a few years ago in another musical here at the Fringe. But she was quite eager to bring something to the Fringe this year around Christmas time, and she got in touch with Elva Corrie, who's another one of her producers. And originally she wanted to bring up Nonsense and was sort of asking about the rights. This really old, random, very funny musical. But Elva was like, oh hey, I've got this really great musical, and you can have the rights for free. I can put you in contact with the writers and see what they say. And Fran did, and got in touch with David, and they just started talking. It's around Christmas time. That they started talking. I remember her first phone conversation with him. I was there. We were in a cafe in Wales. Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah. How funny. But yeah. See, that's how it started. Yeah. I think.
Perfect. Absolutely perfect.
But as well, the connections that Laura mentioned as well.
Yeah.
Probably informed the start of this production.
Yeah.
Yeah. We'll see where it goes from here.
Yeah. Sky's the limit, really.
I want to go around the table individually and say what has been your favorite either moment of the particular show or being part of the Fringe, and because of course as we're recording this, we are 3 days away from the end of the Fringe already.
Yes. Yes.
Which is crazy. So what do you? What's been your best moment of the show / Fringe, and what are you going to miss most about it when it's done?
It just so happens that I got cast in the show. Fran called me when I was dog sitting, because when I'm not acting, one of my jobs is I'm a dog sitter and a dog walker.
Very appropriate.
And I'm obsessed with dogs. I used to work in a dog's home when I was younger. So the only one thing I'll do if I'm not an actor is work with dogs. The cast of is like I'm obsessed with dogs. So she phoned me. I was like, oh my god, that's lovely. And then obviously got to do it and meet other people that love dogs as well. And because we've got the sponsors of the Liverpool Barkery, which made these dog treats that we used as our marketing to hand out to dogs on the street. Plus we sponsor we give money to the Edinburgh Dog and Cat Home as well. Which is the fact that I got to meet all the dogs on the street,
of course,
and give them the biscuits, and just meeting and petting dogs, because and like Pebbles the pug was my favourite. So she's a pug that I met out on the street, and she's now my Facebook profile picture. It's like I met her, I licked her face, and I think So for me, I will miss the dogs of Edinburgh.
That's great.
I had a lot of fun rehearsing in Liverpool.
Oh,
you guys rehearsed at Liverpool, didn't you?
Yeah, we did rehearse a little bit in the new building.
Yes, I've seen.
Really beautiful rehearsal space. And that was a lot of fun. We had, I don't know, like, just we've had some lovely times together. We've had lots of cheese and wine. Hanging out together and just chilling out. But I've loved the fresh air of Edinburgh. Just the fresh air of Scotland. Boy, we born in Scotland. Just kind of walking around, smelling the air, just being here, soaking in the lovely. It's just the simple things, just the wind, the freshness, the cold. I love the cold. And actually physically doing the show, like I actually once the show's up and running, the opening numbers off and running, I just love performing it. It's great music. I love the energy. I love the laughter of the audience. I love messing around with these guys on stage. It's just a lot of fun. Being a dog with a pink wig on, it's not that serious.
Pink wig, if I might add.
Well, thank you.
Lastly, sir?
Me personally, I'm Scottish. My accent's gone a bit because I've been down in London for a while, but being home has just been the best thing ever. I mean, my mum's based in Edinburgh, so it's been, I've a lot of catching up. So that's other than the show itself, which is fantastic, and I love working with these guys. I mean, it's brilliant. The laughs we have on stage, especially with this one, it just comes out with new things every night, unexpected. It's just it creases me. But so the show's.
Oh my god! I mean, what Brian? Sorry, to interject. Like the first time. At one point, like Brian plays such a gorgeous, classy gentleman of a dog, and at one point I put out my hand for him to sniff, and he licks it, and I was like, "Oh yes, you're a dog." I was so shocked though. I was like, "Why am I shocked?" I give out. I should be able to take it. Anyway, I'm so sorry, Brian, for interrupting.
Yeah, she has. Trust me, she's given as good as she's gotten.
Oh well, the worst.
But with the show, it's just amazing being home in Edinburgh. The highlight of the whole thing for me though was at Lippa. When we were rehearsing in Liverpool, and we were lucky enough. It was literally our lunch break, and we managed to get tickets to go see Paul McCartney in casual conversation, as they put it. And we literally sat there on our lunch break, as I said, and he talked for an hour about just first-hand stories about the Beatles.
Jarvis Cocker
was there presenting it. We were hearing about Stevie Wonder being invited for dinner. Never turned up for like 5 hours, but no one questioned it. And then he finished, and we were like, okay, that's that. And then he was a surprise gig.
Like another hour.
So for me, that was and I was never a huge Paul McCartney fan, but after that, I love him.
Brilliant.
I love him.
He's such a dude, isn't he? He's such a cool guy.
Such a gen, yeah.
With his slim fit jeans and his jacket.
Yeah. And I'll confess, I stole some of his mannerisms and put them into my character.
No way.
Yes, I did. So there's a few things I do nightly that I've watched Paul McCartney do, and he was so intriguing. And
that's brilliant. That means you can claim any Beatles music you buy.
Thank you.
Pay back on your taxes now.
About time.
Well, Paul, if you're listening.
The whole thing's just been wow, we've only got 3 days left. Literally 3 more shows.
I can't believe it.
Crazy.
Unreal. It's crazy.
Do you know the website details for the charity, and then for the show as well? That'd be nice to sort of close on that to the people who.
I shot the guests. I think You've got to fly it. I believe that Edinburgh Dog and Cat Home is literally just www.edinburghdogandcathome.co.uk.
Okay.
But with Bark the Musical, I think it's literally barkthemusical.com.
And of course, we've got Twitter and Instagram.
But yeah,
and
Twitter is at Bark the
Facebook.
Musical.
So people want to follow those things, they'll be able to then see if the show's lucky enough to have a live beyond the French here in France.
Yeah, they
hopefully
do.
the information will be on
They put
there.
updates on the Bark Musical website. They put like where it's showing as well.
Yeah.
Because obviously there's quite a lot of productions they've had in America. It's not.
Exactly. And we do have a lot of international listeners, so anybody from North American side of the world, because if they are based in Mexico, it is very possible that between Mexico, Latin America, the United States itself, it is very possible that a production of this could be heading your way at some
So I
point.
think the next is Theatre Palisades, if you know where that is, and that's the current one that's like in rehearsals.
There you go.
You can also listen to the music.
Yes, it's on
Music on
Spotify.
Spotify.
It's on
Yeah,
Spotify.
you can download it on
The original
music.
LA,
LA
yes,
cast,
because it was the third longest running musical in LA history.
Wow.
2 years, because obviously they don't run that long
Exactly,
in LA.
Yeah, and the soundtrack is phenomenal. It really is.
It's really cool.
quite
There's
some-
endless material. There's so many songs that did make it into this.
Yeah, great.
version.
I actually remember. I remember being home again because I'm from Dundee, which is like an hour north of here. And I remember being home between gigs. I was actually doing The Lion King in London, and then I finished, came up home, 2 weeks break before I started here. And I'm quite a keen cyclist, so I was cycling around Dundee, learning my lyrics. So most of the time, I was literally singing out loud with my earphones in. I'm in love with Lassie, and dog walkers would look at me and
Same.
say the same thing. It was.
Oh my God.
But the music is great. It really is. It'll give you a few chuckles and a few moments of It's phenomenal.
Has he recorded you guys doing it at all? Or is it recording just the LA cast?
Yes, I mean,
I don't think he has. Oh no, we did a recording in Liverpool.
Yes, they recorded some tracks for the backing tracks as well.
Okay.
We recorded singing, so like I recorded When I Fly,
Yeah.
so that's on SoundCloud, so I put that on there. There's Dale, He Likes Me, that's on SoundCloud as well.
Musical talk.
My thanks again to Laura and company for hanging out with me. It was a lovely, charming discussion that we had. I hope you'll agree. Now, to finish off this interview, let's now hear one of the songs from Bark the Musical that the author and composer David Francis was kind enough to let me use. Mr. Francis was also very instrumental in helping me to set up this interview, and my sincerest thanks to him. Enjoy!
I belong to Jim and Jane. I have the perfect life. They treat me like a princess. Jane is the perfect wife. They let me go out walking just behind the picket fence. It's full of grass, well manicured and loaded with good sense. And we have meatloaf every night, stuffed with white bread in every bite, spoiled rotten to the core. Oh, they couldn't love me more. I belong to Steve and Steve. I have the perfect life. They treat me like a princess. Who cares if there's no wife? We have a great apartment, custom Berber on the floor. Truck lighting here and fabric there. It's fabulous decor. And I have chicken every night, adorned with truffles in every bite, which I just adore. Oh, they couldn't love me more.
I belong to Ben and Esther. I have the perfect life. They treat me like a princess. I have no cares or strife. Well, come to think about it, my knees aren't what they once were. Don't hear so well or pee too good, my eyes are just a blur. But I have blintzes every night, served with sour cream in every bite, with calories galore. Oi, they couldn't love me more.
But when they leave me all alone, then I like to throw a fit.
I yip and howl, I bark and growl. I'm not liking it one bit.
I'll eat some shoes, then take a snooze, and then I'll bite the chair. I'll mess the rug and fuss. We like to go out riding and to sit in the front seat. We sniff the air and watch for dogs and yap at those we meet. And we go to the vet each year. He sticks a needle into our rear, yep, which we just abhor. Oh, they couldn't love us. Bum 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 bum.
Well, friends, that's just about enough for me for this year's Fringe. However, it would behoove me to catch you up one last time on the show that I was able to take up, Chwedl, Fairytales from Wales. My last entry for this roundup is one last chat I conducted with my entire cast. We grabbed a couple of drinks at a local haunt not too far from PQA venues and recorded our thoughts first from opening night of Chwedl, and then again on the evening of our penultimate show just one day before the Fringe closed for 2018. Follow me, friends, once more into the unknown.
Musical talk.
Hello, friends. I'm coming to you live from Finnegan's Wake, I believe, an Irish bar in Edinburgh. Go figure, we went to an Irish bar in the middle of Scotland, but we like it here. We get a lovely discount because we're with PQA venues. And we have just had our opening night for Chwedl, Fairytales from Wales. And I'm talking with April. I know you. Hello, April.
Hi, David. You're really confusing me by calling it opening night. You'll make me drink more because it is, in fact, still the middle of the day, seeing as our show is at 1 p.m. till 2 p.m.-ish.
Nobody needs to know. It's okay. How was opening night for you? How did it go?
Yeah, absolutely fantastic. We didn't make any major mistakes, which is great. The audience seemed to really like it, which is lovely. It's the first time we've had it in front of anybody at all. So, it seemed to go down really well. Everybody seemed to enjoy it. The audience were laughing along in all the right places.
Yeah,
nobody fell asleep, so I'd say that's a bonus.
Nobody tried to leave.
Nobody left mid-show, which just happened quite a lot in Edinburgh, so that's really good as well. We had quite a good crowd for Edinburgh. I think we had about 14 the end, which is great. So none of those were on offer or anything, so those were just full-price tickets for our first day. So, so we went out. We had a few pre-sales, went out, did loads of flowering on the Royal Mile this morning and pulled some people in. And it seemed to go well. Lucy's a tired Ted now. Lucy the goat, of course.
We met Lucy on one of the previous podcasts.
Yeah, Lucy the sheep. Lucy the sheep playing the goat, so she's having a little nap. So she's not here right now, but she'll get used to it. It is her theatrical debut, so it's the first time she's ever been on stage in front of all these people in a theatrical role. She has, of course, been in a singing role with you and I before as Singing Sweethearts, but she had us as support there, and it was just the singing, which she has a background in. So
and now we put her to pasture for the day.
Very good. Ha 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 ha.
Thank you. How have you been enjoying the Fringe so far?
Yeah, absolutely loving it. It's such a fantastic vibe up here. I just forgot how fantastic it was. I haven't been here for about 10 years. We've been here the last 2.5 days. I think now, is it? It's so easy to lose track with everything that's going on around us. But yeah, it's been absolutely great just getting back into the swing of it, seeing everything going on the Royal Mile, trying to choose what on earth we're going to try and squeeze in and see over these next 5 or so days.
What stood out for some of the shows that we've seen that you've really enjoyed?
Oh, I loved Closer Than Ever, which was produced by PQA Venues, which has just been awarded Best Venue at the Fringe this year. So well done to PQA Venues.
Yes,
also happens to be where we're performing Chwedl, as it happens. Yeah, really enjoyed that. Of course, loved Showstoppers. We always love Showstoppers. So that was a must-see. Nina Conti, of course, always a must-see as well. And I've got quite a few things lined up. I'm hoping to see some of the children's shows, some of the other shows. I've had a lot of people out there flyering for puppetry shows and kids circus shows and that sort of thing, so that's all right up my alley, so I'm hoping to try and see those in the next few days.
Very cool. Thank you very much, April. We'll see you again soon.
Thank you.
And we're back speaking again with our friend Daniela May, who's playing our lead role of Gwen. Just as a reminder to you folks, hi Daniela, welcome back again.
Hi.
You've been a common feature on our podcast for the last couple of days, haven't you been?
I have indeed. I like to talk.
And we like hearing you talk, so thanks for your help. How's opening night been for you as well?
Really good. It was great to get this show finally up and kind of on its feet, finally in front of kind of an audience, to get their reactions, gauge the bits, because we've kind of thought what we think is funny or what we think is going to work. So it's been fantastic to actually see that we weren't too far wrong, I don't think, and it's had a great reaction for the first show. So yeah, really, really good.
good crowd, wasn't it? For the first time.
It was, and you know what? Everyone was enjoying it. They were swaying along to the songs. Loads of people stopped afterwards and came over and said how much they enjoyed it. And there were some few Welsh speakers in the audience as well.
Of course there were.
Yeah, so they came over, and that was lovely. Wanting to know a little bit about the cast and about because obviously we're quite an original cast. So for the Welsh speakers, they wanted to know a little bit about where we came from and did we speak Welsh, and they enjoyed the Welsh within it, and it was all correct, and so that was always good to know.
And how have you been enjoying the Fringe?
I've been loving the Fringe.
Yeah?
So it's just been experience after experience so far, and there's so much more that I'm looking forward to seeing as the kind of week goes on. So I've already got my list and my planner going, and hopefully it's going to manage to fit it all in there. So, but yeah, really good experience. It's just absolutely buzzing here at the Fringe, and there's so many cool things to see, so many great shows. So hopefully it's going to be a good week.
Musical talk.
Edwina Lee, and I play Clay, goat man stroke goat woman, and Harrod, the dancing woman, and a fairy.
Hello, Edwina, and welcome to the programme.
Thank you.
We are now nearing the end of the Fringe Festival, which is very sad, but we've just had our penultimate show today.
Yes.
How have you been enjoying the Fringe so far?
I have been loving the Fringe. It's mad, it's bonkers, it's busy, but it's great because you can see, I think there's a show for everybody.
Oh, absolutely.
Anyone can find something.
If you can't find something you like here, you're in the wrong city.
Well, exactly. Like I was thinking that today, I was walking down the mile, and there's all these flyers and all these random shows, and you just think, gosh, there is a box that ticks everybody. Then, you can see cabaret, circus, you can see intimate theatre, comedy. It's actually amazing that it happens every year for a month. All these people all over the world come here and do this on all these different shows.
What have been some of the highlights for you that you've seen this year?
Oh, crikey.
Musical theatre, non-musical theatre, doesn't matter. I mean, we're particularly keen on musical theatre. It is musical talk, but anything.
Do you know what? I've seen a couple of friends' performances, and I'm genuinely not just like plugging them because like they're friends, but went to see Jolly Boat.
Yeah.
With Ed Croft and his brother.
Ed,
yeah. Do you know what? It was really good fun, and you come out smiling. And it's free. You just put some money in the bucket at the end.
Yeah.
So I love that. And then we saw Dave's magic show.
Yeah.
It does have more of a title on that, which I can't remember at the moment. It's something like the Incredible. It's not that actually.
I don't know. Yeah.
But that was really, really enjoyed that. And some of the tricks he does, I have no idea how he did it.
All lipograds, just saying.
But it was really good, and we're hoping to we've got a few more booked. We're cramming them in today, so we've had a few suggestions from people. So and I'm going to go and see another friend's show, Liam. He's in Kenny, so I'm going to go and see that tomorrow. It's been a varied one this year. I've managed to see quite a few different types of things.
Like I said, this is our penultimate show that we've just done today, so what are you going to miss most about the show when it's over? Being in Edinburgh, being with everyone, being in the bubble. I really enjoy the singing in the show. I'm playing Clay, the goat guy. I love him. Love her, him, we're not sure. Yeah, it's a really fun character to play.
We're very hip to the current time.
Well,
Goatman can be whoever he or she wants to be.
Gender fluid, I believe. It's just bonkers, and I love playing bonkers characters. So yeah, I'll probably miss.
And you play her bonkers very, very well.
Thank you.
To your credit.
All of it really. Yeah, just doing it. It's just been really fun. Yeah, working with everyone. It's been great.
Good. Thanks for chatting with us, Eddie.
Oh, thank you.
Bye-bye.
Hey, my name is Blas Barragan, and I am playing a member of the Tulwith Teg, a nondescript member of the Tulwith Teg who hits the drum a lot.
And says some lovely, gorgeous speeches at the beginning and end of the show. Mwah.
And I do a bit of Shakespeare, even though I am the one non-actor in the entire group. I have been given the Shakespeare speeches. Great stuff.
And you've been doing them very well. We're getting a couple of oohs, a couple of cheeky oohs, either in the middle of your speeches because they know what we're going for, which is good. It's to your credit. As I was just saying to Edwina before, this is our penultimate show, so what is it that you're going to miss most about this show when it's all said and done, bro?
Well, it's been a really unique experience, I think. And that is, I am going to miss that. It's made me want to bring up other shows to the Fringe in future years as well, and like to try again with some other stuff.
Now, is that with more theatrical things or with your actual background with the music side of things? Or both?
Probably theatrical things, actually. Like, I'd really like to bring up some theatrical, some other theater shows up here and put something else on in future years. Obviously, it's a lot of work. It's been an eye-opening experience to see how much goes into it. But it's been a really exciting process as well.
So you come to the Fringe often, mostly as a spectator, don't you? Just see shows in general. So how has this experience changed your perspective of the Fringe and what it's like to come here as a performer? Has it changed? Has it differed? Is it the same? Or has it just enhanced the experience? Because this will be a very different year for coming out to Edinburgh for you, isn't it?
Yeah, very much. It's certainly given me much more sympathy for those who are flyering in the rain, in wet shoes and socks. I've got a load of sympathy for those guys now, and a much better understanding of what they are going through, emotionally. But I mean, other than that, really, I don't think it probably hasn't changed my understanding of the Fringe too much, because, like you said, Edwina and I have been coming up the last few years on the go, just as spectators, just going, seeing stuff, and we love it. And it's become a bit of a tradition. There's just so much to see, and I kind of like, one of the things I actually really like about the Fringe is that, with very few exceptions, you have no real way of knowing something's going to be good or not so good. You just kind of take a punt, you have a go, and sometimes you, out of something really unexpected comes out of nowhere and quite possibly transforms you a little bit, inspires you. It's just something that you really never thought you were going to experience. And then sometimes you see the worst thing you have literally ever seen in your entire life.
But it's all part of the fun.
It's all part of the fun. It's like playing I don't know, some sort of like theatrical roulette or something like that.
Yeah, it's a good way of putting it. Yeah, very good.
But it's really great fun, and we've seen loads and loads of great shows over the years, and this year as well. So it's been a lot of fun.
Very cool. Anything that stood out for you, particularly if it's musical theater? Any shows in particular this year stood out for you?
Well, there's always Showstoppers. Showstoppers is always like reliably very, very, very good. And we've seen some other improv at the Fringe. I think improv is actually kind of improv shows are kind of into like becoming a bit of a trend now.
Yeah, they are.
At
Yeah,
the Fringe.
this year especially. Yeah.
Yes. So we've seen a few improv shows, and it really does say something. The difference in quality between Showstoppers and some other shows that we've seen.
Yeah, they're a bit of a benchmark, aren't they?
Yeah, and I can understand. I can see. You can tell the number of people who have been like influenced and inspired by that show.
Sure.
And want to do something kind of similar type of concept, and they're really, really great. We've seen a lot of comedy at the Fringe. The Fringe is great for free comedy and discovering people that you've never heard of before, possibly, or never really come across. We've seen some great free comedy. We've seen some diabolically bad free comedy. I think we went to a show where a guy came in a matching onesie and essentially just stood there and didn't say anything for about 4 minutes. I think he might have been incredibly high and didn't entirely know where he was. But so I felt bad for us, really, more than anybody else. But so we've seen some great stuff and some bad stuff. And again, that's actually one of the things I love about the Fringe.
Yeah, for real. Yeah. Cool, man. Thanks a lot.
Thank you very much.
Musical talk.
So, hello folks, as David Herzog would say. This is David's wife, April, here.
You've stolen the microphone.
I have stolen the microphone because David's been doing a series of interviews all about our piece Chwedl, Fairytales from Wales, which we brought to Edinburgh this year. And David himself is actually in it, so I thought it would be a good idea to actually interview David about his role in Chwedl. So David, could you just remind us, just for all the listeners out there, who you are and your role in the show, please?
Well, hello, you all know me. I'm a regular presenter for this podcast, well, guest presenter usually, and I think now you can officially add guest presenter to your CV now as well. Well done, because you've stolen the microphone from me. That's what marriage is all about, folks. It's all about compromise. And yes, because we've been writing the piece together. I've been sort of taking on a director's hat as well, a producer's hat. I've been technical director for the show as well. I've been playing all the roles that I mentioned before. I play the grandfather in the show. I play Prince Llewellyn the Great. I play a fairy. I play a minstrel fairy, and I sing lots of songs in Welsh as well, don't I?
You do indeed. So, David, I know that you've told the listeners an awful lot about Chwedl already, so as we're coming to the end of our run now, we've got a couple more shows tomorrow, I wonder if you could tell us a little bit about one of your favourite moments during our run.
I've had lots of favourite moments, but the thing that has been particularly satisfying for me is when we come back to the venue every day before the show starts and seeing how many tickets we've sold. That sounds really cynical and really businesslike, but it's true. Because we put all this work into the show, we've rehearsed it, you and I in particular have put an awful lot of work into the show, and we've rehearsed it as a group, we've brought it up here, and then we flyered like crazy on the Royal Mile, flyered like crazy at the half-price ticket hut, and when we finally come back and actually see that our hard work has actually brought people in to see the show. And then finally, when the show has come to its completion every day, to then get such a positive reaction from the audience, that has been the best thing. That has been the most fulfilling thing. All we've ever wanted to do during this entire process is just entertain people, to just have a great show and make people's lives a little bit brighter. Or that sounds cheesy.
Well, that's the thing about the Fringe, isn't it? You're talking about going out there and firing and drawing the audience in. It's not just about creating a show, it's about the whole experience up here in Edinburgh and everything else that you have to do that maybe you wouldn't normally have to do if you were producing a show in a theatre, elsewhere or as a regular run, that maybe wouldn't be your job, and certainly not your job as a performer. So like you said, you're wearing many, many, many hats.
Yes, we both have. And you're adding another hat. You've become officially a guest presenter for Musical Talk, so well done.
Thank you very much, David. I'd like to ask you one more question.
Oh yes, please. Oh my goodness, go ahead.
Okay. So we have been up here for quite a few days now, and I know that you've seen quite a few things. Is there anything in particular that I know that you've done some interviews with some cast, but is there anything in particular you'd like to give a shout out to?
I have seen loads of things, and I've seen quite a few things in particular for the podcast. Definite shout out needs to go to the cast of Legacy. Both cast did an excellent job, particularly the cast who performed the Book of Names. Very interesting how the pieces were written, and I'm going to be interviewing them later today, as a matter of fact, so we're going to be very interested. Daniela will be hanging out with me. We're very interested to see how the writing process went for that, and how they decided who plays what, who wrote what, and all that kind of thing. Showstoppers, obviously, a lovely friend of the program.
Gotta love Showstoppers.
I am happy to give them as many nods as possible because they always do an excellent job. So our old friend Andrew Pugsley, who we've interviewed on the program before, I'm sure Showstoppers have been given many, many nods on this program, especially when they're at the Edinburgh Festival Fringe, because they've been here every year. I think I met them 10 years ago exactly, because I think they started at the Fringe the exact same year I did. But of course they've been coming back every year in between, and they've only grown by leaps and bounds since then.
The venue they're in now is huge.
Massive. They're in a nice little sort of like trailer annex, lovely box building at George Square 10 years ago. Blew everybody out of the water when they were there 10 years ago, and now they're in this massive venue, so congratulations to them. More power to them.
Yeah, lovely bunch of people as well.
Anything else you want to ask me?
Is there anything else you'd like to add, David?
No, I'm very proud of you and the work you've put into this, and I'm very proud that you're now part of the Musical Talk family, whether you like it or not.
Aw, he's proud of me, folks. My husband is proud of me. Thank you very much. I'm April Herzog, for letting me guest present today. I'm going to hand you back over to either David or Foss, depending on how they edit this. Thank you very much.
Musical Talk.
Friends, thank you so much for tuning in with us and keeping track of our progress with this show. Really appreciate it. Thanks to everybody who came and actually watched the show as well and supported it and came and said hey afterwards. Very much appreciated. As always, follow me on Twitter at David Herzog06. Hope to be on the program again soon. Always a pleasure chatting with y'all. Have a good one, friends. This is David Herzog from the Edinburgh Festival Fringe 2018, signing off.
Musical Talk. There we are then. David Herzog telling us all about Chwedl, Fairytales from Wales, and Bark the Musical. And if you want to find out more about Bark the Musical, you can. Go to the website barkthemusical.com or look for it on Facebook. At the time of recording, it still seems to have an active life in terms of productions, so keep your eye out for it. And don't forget, you'll be hearing more from David Herzog in the next few weeks and months about his experiences up in Edinburgh and the shows he saw and loved there. Well, I think that's it for this episode of Musical Talk. I'll just check. I've got a piece of paper here that says, "Shut up, you fool, it's over." So I'm taking that to mean that's the end of the episode. And if it is, I've got to say this word. And here's me doing so. I'll just make sure I've got it right. Goodbye. Yes, that seems to be the right one. This episode of Musical Talk edited and presented by David Herzog and Thos Ribbits. Copyright Musical Talk 2018, except for the song where the copyright remains with the original creators, and my thanks to them for allowing them to play their song in this episode. To find out more about the world of Musical Talk and listen to past episodes, go along to our website www.musicaltalk.co.uk or subscribe to us on iTunes and follow us on Facebook, Instagram and Twitter. And if you want to follow me on Twitter, you can at Musical Talk Thos.
Could you say your name real quick?
Daniela.
Oh dear.
Too loud? Too soft?
Too loud, but that's not your problem, that's my problem. Talk about the weather.
So the weather is lovely and sunny, but the wind is cold.
It is.
Which is Scotland all over.
Okay, I think we're heaven now. Okay. Hold that thought. You little insects around us. You can take to the top of that point if you like, if you remember what you were saying. So, friends, we are... Oh, actually, I should probably introduce myself first, probably to both of you. This is for Musical Talk. Musical Talk is a musical theatre podcast.
Right.
Cool. This is not an expose. We are not here to... We only talk to the shows that we like.
Oh, good.
Okay. It's just going to be a quick chat. Just feel free to free flow. Just say whatever you like. And this is not live.
Okay, thankfully.
So this is not live podcasting. So if you say or do anything that you think, oh Lord, I shouldn't have said that, or if you mention Starbucks, which we can't have because we are independent, I edit and make us all sound lovely and gorgeous.
Nice.
And you can tell me at any point, oh please do not put that in. And if you remember later and you need to email me, you can do that as well.
Oh, fantastic.
So do not worry one bit. Everything will sound lovely and gorgeous.
Okay.
So with that introduction. Start with you, Phil. No? We'll let the ladies go first. What a gentleman.
Oh, gosh, I don't know.
Or, of course, I can always pause and pretend like you were right in with your answer.
You could.
Like,
editing.
Exactly.
Oh,
Magic of editing. And yeah, anybody who wants to have
God, I have no clue.
Well, I know it's for me.
Yes.
That's brilliant, guys. I have more than enough material from you. Is there anything in particular that you wanted to talk about? I've asked you the things that I wanted to hear from you. You mentioned the charity, which is awesome. I was going to ask you about that anyway, but you got that in, which is very, very
charity, yes.
Yeah, the Edinburgh Dog and Cat Home.
Yeah, I think we've raised about £1,300 now.
That's amazing.
Actually, that's a very good point. Do you know the website details for the charity, and then for the show as well? That'd be nice to sort of close on that. The people who...
I shot the guest, I think... You've got a flyer. If you did Lassie as well.
No, I did.
That's good to know. I'd rather have you guys. And I'm going to ask Dave if I can have some sound clips to put like either before or after.
Yeah, I can send you my SoundCloud one.
Yeah, because I would rather have you guys, obviously.
That'd be nice. Well, obviously, it was just piano and vocal when we did it.
Yeah.
But it's still beautiful, especially when I fly. It's
I mean, what else do you need?
Right?
What else do you need?
And they were filming it tonight as well, so I'm guessing they're going to edit like a UK trailer kind of thing.
Yeah. Very cool. Anything else from you guys at all? I got more than enough material, more than enough stuff to make it all sound interesting.
Woof woof.
Woof woof.
Anything from you to add to that?
Be a good dog. Love your owner. And for all the owners out there, love your dog.
Yeah. Cuddle a dog today.
Yes. This old dog's going to the bar. Get your orders in.
Don't buy breeding.
Yeah.
Don't buy breeders.
And if anyone's single out there, I'm still single.
Sorry, say your name one more time because I was talking over it before.
Oh, David.
Say Edwina Lee again.
Edwina Lee.
Lovely. Okay, now, nice lovely volume. Oh, thanks.
We're having our pitch taken. I feel like a celeb. A really rubbish celeb.
Is she just doing a selfie now? Lovely. So, please say your name and your role in the show into the microphone, please, for a level. Thank you. So, Lucy, how have you been enjoying the Fringe? Any highlights for the Fringe this year? Thank you, Lucy. See you next year. That's brilliant. I don't have you to jet.
Yeah, I need to jet.
I was going to show to catch you. We both really wanted to see you guys.
I really wanted to come after seeing the two shows. I wanted to come and hear all your views.
Yeah, we were both desperate to get as much information as we could, didn't we?
We loved the shows. So yeah, thank you so much.
See you soon, Daniela. Olivia, she got a show that she's got tickets for 10 past 5. I was like, go!
Yeah.
So from you two, was there anything that you wanted to add to that sort of notion of